I'm Dr. Mark Sherwood, and I'm challenging Kevin Stitt in the GOP primary on June 28th. Welcome back. We'll proceed with our consideration of all 27 of the amendments of the United States Constitution. Today, we'll look at Amendments 10 through 12. Note, as a reminder, Amendment 10, along with the first 9, were ratified on December the 15th, 1791, with Amendment 11 ratified on February the 7th, 1795, and Amendment 12 ratified on June 15th, 1804. And these were the final amendments attributed to our founding generation. The next amendment did not come along until more than 70 years later. Now that's over 60 years at the time of the Civil War. So let's look at Amendment number 10. The federal government possesses only those powers delegated or enumerated to it through the Constitution, and all the other powers are reserved to the states. If you have been following my campaign to replace Kevin Stitt with a true conservative, you know that I make frequent reference to the 10th Amendment. It is the one that enshrines the concept of states' rights. This is where we must focus as we prevent Joe Biden and the federal government from overreaching into the lives of Oklahomans as they violate the U.S. Constitution. Now, this will take more than mere words. It will require a commitment that translates into immediate action. That's exactly what will happen when I'm inaugurated as your next governor on January the 9th, 2023. We don't need a governor who talks a good fight against Joe Biden, but who sends the First Lady of the state of Oklahoma to kiss up to Jill Biden on the tarmac at the Tulsa airport. Any federal law that violates the 10th Amendment is unconstitutional and is therefore not binding upon Oklahoma or any other state. As we watch and admire Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida standing up against federal overreach, you'll be happy when Oklahoma becomes a leader among states in protecting your rights against the encroaching Marxism in Washington, D.C. The ineptitude of the Biden administration, both domestically and in foreign relations, is an unmitigated disaster. A careful reading of the Federalist Papers by James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay helps us understand that these United States are exactly what the term indicates. The states are united under one national government, but retain their own individual sovereignty as states. The federal government did not create the states. The states created the federal government. Any rights not specifically delegated or enumerated to the federal government by the Constitution are retained by the states. Now, under Governor Mark Sherwood, Oklahoma will stand firmly upon the United States Constitution and reject any and all federal overreach which violates the 10th Amendment. Now let's look at Amendment number 11. It makes states immune from suits from out-of-state citizens and foreigners not living within the state borders, and it lays the foundations for state sovereign immunity. This is not an amendment that we often hear discussed. It reinforces the sovereignty of each of our states. We currently have 50, which extend from Maine to Hawaii, from Alaska to Florida. Oklahoma is right here in the heartland. It also protects us against the intrusion of foreign governments or interests into our domestic affairs. Now, America will never allow the United Nations to assume authority over our government. They will never oversee our elections or dictate the prejudices upon us. Now, interestingly, Governor Stitt recently visited Mexico and encouraged their consular to establish in Oklahoma City. As Oklahoma governor, I will honor all Oklahomans, including every indigenous citizen of the 39 tribes. They are U.S. citizens and they are Oklahomans. Oklahoma always has been and always will remain Native America. Preference will never be given to any foreign country. In particular, we will ensure that the Chinese Communist Party is no longer allowed to buy up valuable agricultural property and to exploit the medical marijuana industry here in Oklahoma. We will never be sued by China under the 11th Amendment, but we will ensure the hegemony of the Marxist government in Beijing does not intrude into our lives in any manner, shape, or form. Amendment 12 revises presidential election procedures by having the president and the vice president elected together as opposed to the vice president being the runner-up in the presidential election. Now, this played a really important role in what happened on January the 6th, 2021. But first, let's look at the historical purpose behind this amendment in 1803. The election of 1801 was a very contentious one, featuring incumbent John Adams and challenger Thomas Jefferson. Voters today would be amazed to learn how acrimonious the campaign really was between two men whom we assume must have been universally admired in their time. George Washington hoped that distinct political parties would not emerge, but they inevitably did soon after his tenure as our first president. Entire volumes could be written about the election of 1801 and the 12th Amendment. What we need to consider is that on January the 6th, 2021, both chambers of the United States Congress, the U.S. Senate, and the U.S. House of Representatives had the constitutional sworn duty under their oath to determine the true winner of the 2020 election. This year, Oklahoma will have a unique opportunity to cast our votes for both of our Senate seats. James Lankford is up for re-election, and Jim Inhofe is retiring. I most wholeheartedly adjure you to ensure that you put staunch conservatives into both of these positions who will represent your interests in Washington, D.C. as your elected surrogates as they uphold the United States Constitution. As Oklahoma governor, I will uphold the United States Constitution, including the 10th Amendment, which does prevent federal overreach. Now, thank you again for allowing me to share my concerns that America forever remains a constitutional republic. We will soon discuss the remainder of the amendments to the United States Constitution as we continue.